This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
This would be very, very helpful if you are a pagan. This is Wretched Radio.
Why are you talking like that? I can't think of anyone you'd be mocking.
I'm not mocking anybody. My tongue is just stuck to my cheek, and I can't seem to get my tongue unstuck from my cheek.
Tongue in cheek, got it.
This
is
Thank you
Wretched
very
Radio.
much.
Sure.
How to disprove any Christian in 10 easy steps. If you happen to be a pagan and you're listening, we are here to help. You wish to war against Jesus Christ. That is, after all, the object of your hatred. It's not against Christians. We love you despite how you feel about us. Ultimately, your axe is trying to be aground against Jesus Christ. Not a wise decision, because if you think Jesus is some meek little shepherd who's kind of all soft, doesn't have any calluses on his hands, you really should consider the description of Jesus in, say, Revelation 19 and 20, when he returns with a shout, riding on a horse, with his thigh dripping with blood. Why? He's going to war. This is his peculiar work. Our God is not a warrior per se, but he goes to war. Why? Because he is jealous for his fame, his name, and his reputation, and he will execute judgment on the world. No OJ getting away with a crime. None of that. He's going to make sure every misdeed is accounted for. That includes you. And if you think that it is wise, when the sky is rolled back like a scroll, to treat him with anger today, well, good luck. And I mean that. Good luck. Nevertheless, we're here to help you disprove any Christian in 10 easy steps. I think we'll get the point pretty fast. Number 1, completely ignore the scriptures. Just don't pay any attention to what we say when we quote the Bible until you decide to randomly quote a verse, maybe two, that supports your position. Then that's just the way to undermine us right there. Don't believe in the Bible, but then if you think you've got a Bible verse that supports your point, feel free to use it, because that isn't duplicitous at all. The second way you can undermine a Christian and disprove us, appeal to the red letters. They have magical power. They can be taken on their own. That's all you need to do is quote those. No other context, no other consideration of any other book in the Bible. You can just ignore it all, especially the part that completely refute your own point. I think there's a lot of Christians who actually do that. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, they call themselves red letter Christians. Number 3, definitely ignore the part where Jesus talks about sinners. That's a good thing. It's also suggested that you avoid parts talking directly to final judgment, the divinity of Christ. Stay away from those. If all else fails, tell them the story of Jesus is a knockoff of the stories of Horus and Mithra and Krishna. If they somehow manage to pull up the extremely well-documented refutations against this, tell them the historical Jesus didn't exist. That one works like a charm.
Every time.
You know what? We've gone through 3 of these, and I've heard each and every one of these, frankly. One more. If any Christian... Huh? More than once. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
If any Christian gives you pushback about how you view a particular social issue, just call them unloving, hypocritical, judgmental, bigoted. That works every time. Just throw some names. Here's a tip if you're a pro. Quote, do not judge, from Luke 6:37, but ignore the part where he speaks of right judgment. Who is anyone to judge? If they say God is able to judge, tell them you don't believe in the magic sky fairy anyhow. So that's irrelevant. See what they did right there? Quote the Bible and on it goes. Now, if you think that is mangling of the Bible for the sake of winning a case, brace yourself for that. You're going to think that this is a joke. Jesse Johnson at Cripplegate. put together 5 verses that are used to justify abortion. Now, these are used, I'm pretty certain, by unbelievers, but they're also used by professing believers who try to justify the intentional taking of an innocent human life. This is, I got to tell you something. You could put me in a room with a Bible for a long time, and I don't think I would have come up with this. Clever? Yes. Totally wrong? Absolutely. The first Bible verse used to justify abortion. All right. Here it is. Genesis 2:7. I'll read it. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Tony, how is that verse used to justify abortion? Can you imagine? Joey, it looks like you've got it.
I've heard that one before.
And what?
No, I haven't.
What I've heard is that the soul doesn't really enter the body until they take their first breath.
There you go. Right there. And
So
they
it's
use
not
Genesis
really a sentient
2:7.
human being until it's born.
Yeah, here's the problem with using that verse thusly. Who were the parents of Adam and Eve? In what womb did they reside? You say, well, they didn't have parents and there was no womb. Exactly. And that is why this is a unique historical description of a one-time event. Not all children forever. End of that verse. Number 2, Genesis 9:7. And you, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. Because apparently, these people like to use the King James Version. So, the application to this is, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth. So, procreation and provision, equally important. And if you can't provide for those children, then you should not be for life. You should be happy to let people have abortions. Not kidding. They will use the tripe, well, nobody wants to adopt these kids, so everybody should be able to have an abortion. All right, there's lots of people who want to adopt, and it's a bit of a travesty that there are kids who are not provided for. We all agree on that, wouldn't we? So is the solution to kill them or to simply make provision for them? And furthermore, how's about denying the most essential component of fruitfulness? Life. Verse number 3, John 15:2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Application, sit down, you might fall over. A woman purged brings forth more fruit. Do I need to respond to that? The argument goes, by having an abortion at a young age, the woman is giving herself the potential to have more children and have a better life. Conveniently overlooked in this is that many women after an abortion find themselves unable to have children at all, or so wounded and scarred that it lingers with them the rest of their life. Oh, and it's still the intentional taking of an innocent human life. Number 4, John 7:23. Are you angry with me because I have made a man every bit as whole on the Sabbath day? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge by righteous judgment. Here's how they use it. Law prefers to avoid the greater evil by bringing about the lesser of evils. See what they did right there? That's using the lesser evil argument. But that only works if it's granted that abortion is evil. So thanks for at least admitting that. But Jesus didn't kill the man with the withered hand, because life with only one hand would be unfair. Instead, he gave the man healing. If a child is going to be born disformed, we don't kill it. We help it. Number 5, James 2:14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man says he has faith and has not works? Can faith save him? Application, faith is expressed not by words but by deeds. So in other words, the abortion doctor is actually doing something about the problem. So he's the one with real faith. No, it's not a real faith. It is a pursuit of power and money over and against the lives of countless children. It's not a story of helping victims of rape or incest. It's a story of harming them by playing off of fear and exploiting their victimhood, and they are indeed victims. Do you think that that was nonsense? Indeed it is, but those are Bible verses that people actually try to use to support abortion. Nonsense. Furthermore, not only can these be deflated quickly with one swift poke, how's about all of the Bible verses that talk about the forbidding of taking of innocent human life? And that's exactly what is inside of the womb. I'm just trying to pretend I'm torn and that I don't want to sneak in a plug for preborn.org/wretched, who tries to convince women to keep their babies and shows them ultrasounds, which you could pay for at preborn.org/wretched. So it's not that I'm actually torn. I'm just trying to pretend that I feel bad about having to tell you about that, because I don't. It's a great ministry. If you'd like more babies to live and more mommies to get saved, preborn.org/wretched, preborn.org/wretched. This is Wretched Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Wretched segment du jour. If you'd like more Wretched, you can listen to the most current stream for free at wretched.tv/listen, or you can become a club member and listen to our entire archive. Wretched, reaching the lost, equipping the saints, and strengthening the local church.